Hello and welcome to Brain Trust Live number 518.
This week on the podcast, it's Epstein week, so now is not the time to fact check. Spread those memes with courage.
And as her brain short circuits, now is the time to give Marjorie Taylor Greene's brain the correct inputs.
Plus, did you know that if you're elected as a Democratic Socialist, you can keep identifying as one while in office?
And the shutdown is over, and how many times have we had to write the headline, Democrats snatch defeat from the jaws of victory?
We'll have all this and more.
This is Brain Trust Live. Hey y'all, I'm Brent.
I'm Lila, and you can find us on the web at www.braintrustlive.com.
You could definitely find us on the web for like the last 72 hours.
Now you can find us on Twitter again.
Scrolling on Twitter. It's been the best time on Twitter in some time.
I have to say, there have been more unprecedented times on Twitter on a dying platform in the last 2 years than I could have ever imagined.
Yeah.
Because it's actually... You can find us on anywhere because it's currently great on every platform. And it's going to be a brief window. So get in now if you want to get in. Don't wait on this.
I don't know. It may linger.
That's true. It may linger.
About the Epstein files.
We're obviously talking about the Epstein files. So basically, a few days ago, House Democrats released emails that claim that Donald Trump spent hours at Epstein's home with one of his victims. Sure. You probably saw news about that.
A thing we all knew in our hearts to be true.
It's a real fork found in kitchen style revelation there. Yep. But in any case, my favorite thing about that was that Caroline Leavitt was asked by the White House press pool if that was true, and she said, "These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong." Which is the opposite of what they prove, but sure. Also, all these far-right media figures are suddenly like A-OK with sex trafficking.
I know. Everybody is now having a real, I almost said internal debate. They're having a very public debate about what age it is that it's okay to, but like, because
it's getting younger and younger.
It's getting younger and younger, and like I feel like there was a 15-year-old involved, and one of these, whether it was Megyn Kelly or someone else, was like, well, at least she's not 8 or something. There was that whole thing. Like, it's just like everybody is like, no, there's. I think
was she a minor?
We're clear on this.
Right,
I think, with
the
our
legal
own,
definition,
with our own morals, with our own legal definitions, we've decided upon this.
Yeah.
As a people.
Yeah.
We don't need to be having podcast discussions into a microphone about.
The far right is having to have those discussions because they are caught in an uncomfortable situation for themselves since. This was one of the main reasons they voted for this man, and now they're having to face the reality that they seem to be the only people who didn't know in their hearts that he's like the star of the Epstein files. But anyway, a really weird thing happened after that. Because, the Democrats have been, on oversight, have been like dropping these emails here and there. And these are the emails that were subpoenaed from the Epstein estate. So they're not the Epstein files themselves. They're these other emails. Then the House Oversight Committee, the GOP-controlled House Oversight Committee, sort of like in response to this Democratic dropped 20,000 pages of emails from this file, which is almost all of them. And not sure what the strategy was here because lots of fun was contained in those emails. But I think the thing that maybe we've most hung on to from those emails is an email that claims that Trump gave a blowjob to a person nicknamed, quote, Bubba.
Yes.
Now, obviously, that's a known nickname for Bill Clinton, so the internet went wild. Yeah. And in a very J.D. Vance fucking a couch kind of situation, I don't care whether or not this is true, and I don't want to picture it, but I do want to keep spreading this rumor.
Yes.
Because it's like, let's finally have some fun, you know?
Yeah.
We went and put our nose to the grindstone with this J.D. Vance couch rumor, and we made that happen.
Yeah, that still
was
going.
A fabricated rumor that came out of nowhere, and we put the work in to spread that rumor so that it became questionable whether it was real or not.
And it's still going, and it's still funny. I just saw a photograph the other day of Erica Kirk wearing a pantsuit that looked like it was made out of a couch. It was like tufted, because J.D. Vance is obviously trying to sleep with Erica Kirk.
Obviously.
And vice versa, potentially, it sounds like maybe she's going around...
She doesn't seem that sad about the loss of Charlie.
She's going around talking about how much he reminds her of Charlie, which is a weird thing to be doing. But anyway, so we're still rolling with that.
Yeah.
I feel like this could... There's many things in this email trove, some that we may not have even found yet.
That's right.
That I feel like we could really make permanent pop culture...
History
here. Yeah, because... Then we got news from Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, who was the one who wrote this email, that it wasn't Bill Clinton, which is a hilarious response to that because it wasn't that Trump was blowing somebody.
No.
Right? And the backup here is that supposedly, and I don't even know if this is true, but to your point, who fucking cares?
Right.
Is that Ghislaine Maxwell had a horse named Bubba.
That's right. Which is...
So now we're going with that as like our backup option to Bill Clinton. And
is the backup.
Both of those are excellent options. So roll with either that you want to.
Well, I feel like this is... Brent had, I think, a really important take on this whole thing. If you are sitting around sort of feeling aggrieved by how crass all of this is, and also worried that you need to keep track of the details of what is and is not true.
Oh, yeah. You don't.
Right.
No.
Don't worry about that.
And like, I didn't even know... When, we were discussing before this, Lila sort of like pulled the information about like where these emails came from. I wasn't even really keeping track of that because like I mostly don't care. And I care about politics. And I also sort of like care about those types of like machinations of like how things work and stuff like that. Sure. And I want to know I want to find things out. I don't want to find anything out about this except the memes that are being shared on Twitter right now.
And I care deeply about the rumors.
Right. And you, I think, as a general person living in society, especially if you are a Democrat, this is a moment where Democrats love to find moments where they don't have to do anything because they're lazy do-nothings.
That's right.
And this is a moment where, like, you can really sit back and just let this wash over you.
That's right.
This is not our mess. It's not our business. This is MAGA implosion. And it's our business in the sense that it is entertaining.
That's right.
Don't get me wrong.
But let yourself be entertained. Do not let yourself be so worried that you can't find this funny.
No. And if you think that you need to have an opinion other than whether a specific meme made you laugh or not, you don't.
You don't.
That's the only opinion in this entire situation that you need to have.
That's right.
And Megyn Kelly and Nick Fuentes are gonna have the important opinions. For once.
That's right.
Good for them.
Let them have a moment to shine after so many moments.
Nick Fuentes is pontificating as to whether Donald Trump is gay or not. That's who we need to be listening to right now.
That's right. Well, so basically, some confusing things have happened. Yesterday, which was, we're recording this Monday, so yesterday is Sunday, Trump, I guess, decided he was going to try to power through this situation by insisting that they vote to release the Epstein files.
Well, he didn't do anything wrong.
Of course. Well, no, they only proved
proven by these emails.
Exactly. So he basically, and this is, as media is framing it, what this means is he has effectively acknowledged he doesn't actually have the power to block this. I'm pretty sure they have the votes necessary to override a veto on this because that's the implication of him,
right. They finally suddenly coming out in favor. Right. Grijalva.
That's right. They swore in Grijalva.
And it seems like they have not been able to flip any of the Republicans to not vote on this.
No, and he's been trying.
Desperately trying as he may.
He's been making sad phone calls to all of them, and they've all been telling him to enjoy his evening. But so... I feel like he's sort of made overtures to the fact that he doesn't really have the power to block it. So now he's shifted into operatic mode instead.
Oh, yeah.
Because, so the House GOP is claiming this whole thing is a political attack by Democrats, which is like, if your political attack is actual truthful concerns about sex trafficking, then like... who cares if it's political? If the accusation is true, it being political is sort of irrelevant. But also, Trump spent all weekend blasting Phantom of the Opera and the national anthem all over the White House. I think in like an old mobby attempt, like a mob-timey attempt to like cover a conversation that they were having about what to do here. They also held conversations in the Situation Room about how to handle the Epstein email release. And that is... It was the Phantom of the Opera music blasting that I believe got Nick Fuentes involved.
Yeah. Well, it was also the Clinton,
Bill Clinton
email. But I mean, I think it was probably a combination of both.
Yeah,
but
right.
Yeah, because he said that the signs were there for Trump to be gay because his theme song was YMCA by the Village People. And I was like, oh, that was, I think, actually when I knew that I was like... my real opinion has no place here.
That's right. Yeah, the only thing that I think you need to have an opinion on in this entire situation is what is he going to try to distract us with, and is that something that you need to help stop?
That's right.
Like, your concern is what is he going to do now that he's backed up into a corner?
Right.
Like, are we going to have a war with Venezuela? By the way, don't bother. Like, I know that should be a top concern among American people. We don't want to go to war.
Yeah,
we've been clear on that. I don't think Trump's instinct that would draw focus is correct because that's way less fun than rumors about him blowing Bill Clinton. And the American people are no longer a serious news reading people, so I just wouldn't worry about this. And this is also, 3/4 of Americans want these files released. So he sort of, he kind of has to deal with the fact that he created this monster. He ran on this.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
And he knew he was in them.
I know.
He knew this guy.
Yeah, I know. And it's also been nice because and I think we've talked about this once before, but it seems like this is a more definitive version of this happening. But like one of the things that he did was that he announced that they were going to start investigating like the Democrats who were in the files. Yes. And obviously
Pam Bondi had a very busy weekend.
Sure. And obviously Bill Clinton was the person that they were getting at, especially considering the Bubba email of it all. And more people on the internet have decided that they notably do not care whether Bill Clinton is in the Epstein files or not.
I feel like they have been under the false impression this entire time that Democrats would try to stick up for Democratic members of Congress, sure. They're going to do the wrong thing.
Right, I was going to say, and I think that is probably why they have not pushed until now to do some of this stuff.
But Democratic voters do not care about protecting Democrats that are in the Epstein files. That is, by and large, a widely held position. It's on the internet.
We hate our elected leaders.
I was going to say, it's also off the internet. Just in random conversation, you can find this out.
Please tell me that Chuck Schumer is in there.
I don't think he will be. But your local old people know they don't care about protecting Bill Clinton.
Wouldn't it be great if we could finally have a reason to get rid of him? I mean, we have a million, but like if there was an actual now he's really got to step down, that would be great. If I want all 500 of our national elected leaders to be in the Epstein files.
I would be happy to have them. Let's start again.
God.
But I feel like they are under the mistaken impression that their reputation could suffer more.
Right.
When actually, it would be such a relief if it turned out that half these fools that have been essentially holding us for ransom in the political process from the Democratic Party could be ousted over this.
I know.
I mean, voters would be so relieved to get rid of the Clintons.
More on that later,
exactly. But like that, I think, is the biggest miscalculation that both sides are making, because this is the sort of like DC, amnesia that everyone suffers from, where everyone in DC thinks that people in DC are important and that everybody respects them. Yeah. And it's getting rough outside there. It's getting rough in the outside world.
We actually do care about the sex trafficking.
Yeah. That's...
and the Democrats, maybe that's not their number one issue. Like, it is like some of the people who have obviously been pushing this,
the former
Q people who were sort of like started with Pizzagate, obviously. Like, those people are the
bread and butter of the anti-sex trafficking.
Yes, exactly. But like
conspiracy community.
Obviously, if there are people implicated in sex trafficking here, like, we should not be caring which party they belong to.
And I also don't think that there are any figures left in the Democratic Party that I would be sad to see character assassinated in the public.
That's exactly right.
Like, there's no one I'm interested in protecting. And I think that is something that we don't share with a lot of people on the right, because they have been protecting.
Well, they're in a cult.
They're in a cult. They've been protecting dear leader, but also everyone around them for so long, because they're also in a repressed cult. And so, this is sort of a way of life, I think, on some of the right. And I think some of the right is people who honestly want to find out if everyone's sex trafficking got kind of pulled under by a rumor that made no sense. But remember those Q rallies where you'd be like, well, this is just an old lady who doesn't want children to be sex trafficked through a pizza restaurant.
Oh, yeah, right.
And
exactly.
Has she bought into a wild conspiracy? Sure.
Yeah, she spent too much time on YouTube.
She spent too much time on YouTube. She got, brainwashed, whatever. But she is at the end of the day an old lady who doesn't like sex trafficking.
Right.
And that is why she's here. Yeah. So there is a bit of that still kind of in that Q coalition.
She was also there to see if JFK was going to come back from
the
dead. So
a woman who loves a conspiracy.
They had some interesting, thoughts going on at the same time in their heads, but
Q members always do. It's one of the most special things about them. In any case, all of this has led, though, as we alluded to earlier, to some very funny run-ins between Trump and some of the more wingnutty members of the GOP House caucus. Because, as you know, he ran on releasing the Epstein files with the implication that all of these sort of stodgy old Democratic figures were in them, like the Joe Bidens and Bill Clintons of the world. And I'm sure they are, and, good riddance to them.
Yeah.
But some of these more wingnutty GOP figures wanted to find out if that was true and believed his promise that he was going to release the Epstein files. And currently, notably Marjorie Taylor Green, but Lauren Boebert also told him no when he called her to try to get her to vote against releasing the Epstein files. Marjorie Taylor Green is losing her fucking mind right now.
Yeah.
In a great way.
I was going to say, we've been talking about it up until this. But
she's already been struggling with the war stuff. She's already been struggling with Gaza. But now she's on a new journey, which is being the direct, being the focus of a direct personal attack from Donald Trump.
Yeah. Well, and she'd also been talking about healthcare.
Oh, right. And the
in
healthcare
regards to the shutdown. She's
That's
been
right.
sort of like wanting Republicans to, actually have a healthcare plan. And she stated in no uncertain terms that Mike Johnson didn't have one.
That's right.
So yeah, she's been doing a lot of
she's on a
weird
journey.
things. She was on The View last week. Like,
I know.
Who knows what she's doing?
No.
But they finally broke up.
Yeah.
He pulled her endorsement.
It was
his endorsement of her.
It was a glorious breakup.
It was
It
great.
involved, as you might imagine, a lot of ranting on his part.
Long screeds on True Social.
It involved debuting some new nicknames.
Real-time testing of nicknames.
First one was not a hit. Second one, much more obvious.
Yeah, he went with Marjorie Taylor Brown to start with, and then in parentheses had to explain something about green grass rotting and turning brown.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
you shouldn't have to explain your joke.
It was clunky. It was not great. And then he settled on Marjorie
Taylor
Green.
Much better.
Which was right there the whole time.
I know. Why would you not have, first of all, think of that first, but also when you're testing these nicknames, don't debut them on Truth Social before you run them by your advisors. Although I don't know that I would trust any of his advisors to come up with great nicknames.
No. They don't have a history of doing so.
No, exactly. He has frequently had this problem.
His list of nicknames is littered with bad nicknames.
Truly. Well, and anytime he just adds crooked, it's like, well, that's the laziest one he has. Like Crooked Hillary, Crooked Chuck, whatever. That's when you know he really hasn't put any thought to it. I think this one he put almost too much thought into it because he was breaking up with somebody.
Yes.
And so he debuted a really complicated, long-winded one, and then he was like, we have to get punchier.
Yeah.
But in any case, she has also been all over media bashing him.
Yeah. Yeah, and one of the wildest things happened ever, because politicians don't usually do this.
That's right.
And I feel like I'm going to give her kudos for this. I'm going to see if she stops.
I don't have any.
And I would like her to make some personal apologies to some specific people,
Good
probably
luck with
like
that.
Ilhan Omar and various other people. But so she was talking to Dana Bash and talking about how she was getting threatened online, having her death threats. She was getting death threats. She's now been being doxxed, and people were doing that thing where they send pizza to your house.
Oh, right.
Yeah, the pizza doxing or whatever the heck it's called or whatever. And so she was like, and that's being incited by Donald Trump on the internet.
Yeah.
And Dana Bash pressed her and was like, you have partaken yourself in that type of language in the past. And she apologized.
Yeah.
Like straight up in a way that seemed convincing.
She's having a real moment right now. Her journey is fascinating.
Yeah, it's wild.
Because she's still afflicted with the sort of same brain issue that Michelle Bachmann was afflicted with.
Yes.
Where like Michelle Bachmann had basically been given all the tools to have smart thoughts, and then her brain kind of rebelled, you know? Like, we heard her at Politicon describe how she became a conservative, and it was the most convoluted, ridiculous story we'd ever heard, because it started with her being, like, a Democrat on a city bus in New York City and reading Gore Vidal.
Yeah.
So, like, it was just like her brain took everything wrong. Every input came in, and it was the wrong output.
Yeah.
And I feel like Marjorie Taylor Green suffers from, like, a similar phenomenon.
No, she absolutely does.
But she is, like, things are getting too real, I think, for her.
Yeah.
And so I feel like she is starting to kind of, like, once you've asked the first question, I guess it's easier to ask the second question and the third question. So, like, once you've started to ask questions about whether Trump is delivering on his foreign policy promises, it's easier to ask the question of whether he's delivering on the domestic policy promises, whether he's delivering on bringing sex traffickers to justice, whatever, you were thinking was his platform before. But this journey she's been on is now a months-long journey.
It really is.
And this does feel like it was a pretty critical moment in it, because to have a public breakup like this with Donald Trump is embarrassing for both of them.
Yeah, for sure.
They're two nutty people who now are too nutty to be together.
Right. I know. It's also like, it was also in that same interview, there was a moment where she said that she felt like it was a serious question that needed to be asked as to whether Jeffrey Epstein was an Israeli intelligence asset.
Yeah.
And Dana Bash, who's one of TV's leading Zionists,
didn't know what to do.
Gooped. I mean, So that was a wild.
If you can trust Marjorie Taylor Green to do anything, also, it's to tie in every conspiracy to one.
I know.
That is one skill that I feel like the former sort of like Q branch of the Republican Party is really good at.
Yeah.
Is they can take disparate issues and ideas and they can find a central conspiracy theory to kind of tie them in together. It's a great storytelling device.
Sure. Yeah.
In any case.
This is like one of those like specific moments where I feel like now is the time where you strike up a conversation with her and you see what she'll work with you on.
That's right.
Like, again, I'm not, like, this is a woman who is nuts and has said terrible things and disagrees with me
also,
on, like, 99%
I was going to say, don't forgive her for anything.
Right, I was going to say.
No one's asking that.
But she's out here, as she has sort of, like, I saw a tweet of hers the other day, sort of, like, ruminating on things that could possibly help health insurance.
Right.
And a lot of them were silly because
she doesn't know anything.
She doesn't know anything, and she's obviously never going to, at least for a while, consider, Medicare for all. I would contend that maybe we could convince her of that.
Call it
if
something
told the right
different.
Story, call it something different. But, one of the things on the list was, like, price transparency. Mm-hmm. Do a bill with Marjorie Taylor Green on price transparency. Right. You and I were actually just talking about this recently in regards to people calling about, there's this person that I'm following on TikTok who is like, she's a doctor, and because people are about to lose their health insurance, she's going around and she's calling places asking how much it actually costs if you were to pay for something out of pocket, not through your health insurance. Surprise, it's
way cheaper.
Way cheaper if you just pay out of your own pocket and don't run it through insurance.
Yeah.
Like, people, like, getting literally, like, 9 months, including their hospital stay and birth, for, like, $5,000. Like, all of their doctor's visits and, like, to be, like, would cost way more than that if you got it billed through your insurance. Like, insane things. So, like, there's things, listen, that's not a solution to our healthcare problem.
Of course not.
But I'm just saying, it's like, as her brain is twisting and turning and learning things that has never learned before.
Right. Give it some inputs.
That's what you do.
Yeah. That's what, I mean, I feel like the craziest members of the Republican caucus are the only ones ripe for that treatment. But Donald Trump is also one of those people.
Right.
That's what has been frustrating me this entire time. He's like an open sieve. And if you can get him to do something within 10 minutes of telling him about it, then he'll agree with you. Mm-hmm. Like the time that he loved Obamacare for 10 minutes. Like, he is just someone who thinks that the best idea is the one you just told him. Yeah. And the idea that Democrats aren't calling him all day with ideas is infuriating to me. Yeah. That's strategizing. It's like, with Marjorie Taylor Green, don't worry about whether she's an objectionable person. Of course she is. That's not even a question. And certainly don't forgive her for being so objectionable. Is there something that you can make her do that's not objectionable?
Right.
Put her on a track towards being productive. Help her help herself.
That's right.
Yeah. It's like, everyone has annoying coworkers that you have to figure out what to do with.
Oh, yeah.
The best thing that you can do with an annoying coworker is find a way that they can help and turn them towards that, and don't give them any responsibilities beyond that scope. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Let's talk about the elections, because that was the excitement of the last couple weeks, but also is why I think we can feel so smug about this Epstein thing.
Right. Like, and annoyed about the shutdown thing, which we're going to cover.
We're going to cover immediately after. But we're flying high from these election results.
Sure.
First of all, Mamdani knocked it out of the park.
Crushed it. And listen, there were some people on my part of the internet that were sort of feeling less great about him as the election went along, just because he did some equivocating. Right. Not an insane amount, but I think a lot of people were sort of like, well, you won without doing this, and you're running against the same people.
Right.
And people seemed to like that you weren't doing this. So, like, what are we doing here? Mm-hmm. And then he won. And that speech came out, and he started that speech with a quote from Eugene Debs, and I was like, I think I texted you and Grant that I'm horny for this speech, because I was immediately like, this is the exact thing that I have, like, my entire life on this earth has been leading to a point where somebody just won an election and started with a Eugene Debs quote.
Yes, and then also didn't spend the whole time being like, we're all in this together, so don't worry, I won't do anything. Because I had also just listened to Abigail Spanberger's speech when I watched the Mamdani speech. Sure. Her entire speech was like, we got in there and sent a message that we want practical, reasonable solutions to problems, and we want bipartisanship. Like, her whole speech was, we got in there and sent the message that nothing should happen and we should do nothing. And I was like, how frustrating. Because, like, sure, am I happy that a Democrat won the gubernatorial race in Virginia? Of course. I would rather that than a Republican. But that wasn't the speech that I wanted to hear on a night where I'm expecting a Democratic Socialist to become the mayor of New York City.
But it was also the speech that you knew that you were going to give.
I know. And it's so terrible because I can feel sort of absently excited about her as a concept. And then every time that I'm faced with her as a tangible reality, I'm like, oh, I'm highly annoyed. I can't. Yeah. So like, I need her to exist as like a figment of my imagination, just like far away from me. And then I'm like, fine.
Yeah.
Like, be equivocating to your heart's content away from me. But anyway, Mom Donnie did not do that.
We're doing socialism in New York City.
That's right.
I'm a socialist. I told you I was a socialist. And if you forgot, I've got a 20-minute speech for you.
Exactly. No, it was so exciting. And then he announced that Lena Khan was running his transition.
Come on.
Like, just already a dream come true.
Yep.
And when he did the thing that those Democratic Socialists always do or not even the Democrat, but a lot of Democrats do this too, when there's like a lot of excitement where he put up a thing like, we're accepting, applications or whatever. And they got something like 50,000 applications in like 2 days for the transition team, which is only a gig until the first of the year. Right. So like people are pumped.
Yeah.
And then I went to Seattle for the weekend.
Oh, yes, you were there for this.
And I was in Seattle the moment that Katie Wilson finally pulled ahead in the Seattle mayor's race. Yes. And now Seattle has their own Seattle version of Mamdani.
Yeah.
So we've got...
And that was a big upset.
That was a huge upset. That was an incumbent mayor. Yeah, and sort of like a political institution in Seattle. And she pulled ahead in the mail-in vote counts at the very last minute. He led the entire race. And then I remember, because my friends who I was staying with were watching the vote count very carefully. And at one point they were like, well, she's 1,400, or he's 1,400 votes behind all of a sudden. First he was 900 votes behind. Then he was 1,400 votes behind. And then he was 1,400 votes behind with 1,400 votes left to count.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, well, they're not all going to be for him.
No.
So it was just like, it was very exciting because they were so bummed about it when I got there. And it was like the arc of our excitement got to grow together.
I know that the way that result played itself out, I think I texted you and I was like, I can't wait for mainstream Democrats to turn against mail-in voting.
I know. And she's our age.
Listen, I'm only partly kidding.
Well, you're not kidding at all. It's for sure happening. But she's our age. She's 1982, baby. So right smack in the middle of us, which means that we're qualified to be the mayor. Which means that we got to get our act together. Because who's going to run in LA to be the mayor? What Democratic Socialist is going to unseat this nonsense in LA? Well, we got to try it.
Right. I want to talk about being qualified to be the mayor.
Well, that's actually just the most important point.
Just really quickly. And actually, to that point, qualified to be literally any public office holder, including the president, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. As proven by randos becoming the president.
The qualifications for being any elected official, federal or statewide or citywide or whatever, is being a living human that lives in the United States of America.
And that people voted for to get that office.
That's right.
That's all you need.
That's your qualification.
That's right.
And I guess there's a few others. You got to be the right age. You got to be,
right. I mean, you can't be 7 years old. Fine.
Whatever's in the Constitution. Yeah. If you fit any of those things, that's it.
You did it. The whole point of representative government is not that a professional class
government
is representing you because they're professionals at representing you. It is that regular people represent each other.
Yes.
That's the whole concept.
Right. It's a travesty that most of them are lawyers.
Yes. I couldn't agree more, especially now that we're in a situation where they're being hamstrung by their own knowledge of the law. Because instead of realizing that their job is to invent the law, they feel like they're victims of it.
Yeah.
That's the Democratic Party in a nutshell.
100%.
So, you have... And it's also, like, once you give people the option... Because there were some things that made what happened in New York City possible that are mostly public financing and ranked choice voting. But those were the things that gave voters the opportunity to vote for someone like them who had ideas. And those are the two things that qualify you. Like, I think that people are forgetting, that being the mayor of anywhere is not like a professional gig that you need years of experience to do. Like, first of all, in New York City, it's a dead-end job. You don't do anything after you're the mayor.
Well, and also so many people were being like, oh, well, he doesn't have the right experience.
He's in the state government!
But that's what I was going to say. Like, I would contend that you don't need to have any.
Right. But also, he does have political experience.
I was going to say, and the appropriate political experience if you want to actually consider what is appropriate. Being in city government. Or state government, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, being in other parts of local government is experience.
That's right.
And wasn't it weird that Cuomo had so much experience and wanted to be the mayor of New York? Like, I know. Didn't that tip off any people wonder what was going on? It's just like the local government especially like, there are people that work full-time for the local government to make sure that the people who need to know things know how to do them. It's not, the mayor is not the bureaucracy of New York City. Doesn't need to be a legal expert. He doesn't need to be a legal expert. He doesn't need to be an expert in how transportation financing is currently working. There is somebody who professionally knows that, who explains it to the mayor, who advises them. He needs to know what the goals of the people of New York City are.
Right.
And, like, that's all representative government is.
Yeah.
In any case, it was a good night for Democrats, broadly. It was a great night for Democratic Socialists. I have since rejoined the party.
Oh, that's right.
So
yes.
I can count myself among the proud. I don't know. I mean, I was proud before, but I'm prouder now.
Right. I'll have to revisit why I was mad at them in the first place.
I know. I couldn't remember, so that's why I was like, I'm just going to do it again. Plus,
I'm sure it was valid, though.
Of course it was. But I feel like now that there's momentum at the local level, and also that there are people who have a strong Democratic Socialist identity who are getting elected.
Yes.
Because I think before, a lot of what would happen is it would be like, there are Democratic Socialists getting elected, but they're really Democrats. And once they get elected, they don't really talk about it anymore, and we just all forget. Like, Mamdani is like, no, I'm a Democratic Socialist. That is the political party that I represent here.
Yeah.
And I'm not sorry. Yeah. And I feel like I want to have more of that.
Yes.
I want it to be like an acceptable thing for someone to get elected as a Democratic Socialist and be like, that's me, a Democratic Socialist.
Well, and that's, I think, actually, if we need to remember why I was mad at them, I think was because
it was related to that.
It was related to that in the sense that they sort of just like had these people who claimed to be Democratic Socialists, and there was never really any sort of like beyond sort of like having an endorsement of somebody, there was never really any interpretation of like what that meant. Certainly electorally, they would come through and they would endorse a Democrat every now and again, but it's like, what are you doing? Like, I think that was sort of like...
And I think also there are...
Having an actual identity as such, I think is...
So important.
Yes.
Right. And I think also this happening in New York City makes it possible for other local DSA chapters.
Yeah, where's ours?
That's like, the LA DSA chapter should now be thinking, okay, how do we get a Mamdani?
100%.
And that is something that there was no model for before.
Right.
So, New York, always leading the way. Really one of the most important cities, if you think about it.
Prop 50 here in California went as planned, called the second the polls were closed. Which,
by the way, at that point, not a single vote had probably been counted, because the second that polls closed, we have another 7 weeks of vote counting ahead of us. But it I think was taken, at least in media, as what we were sort of intending for it to be taken as, which was an endorsement of having ideas.
Yeah, and that's what, the voter turnout vastly exceeded what the expectations were for it. And I was watching MSNBC against my better judgment. Oh,
but everyone makes bad choices.
There was no...
I tried to watch CNN and Van Jones kept coming on and he kept saying... After that Mamdani speech, they pan immediately to Van Jones and all he does is sigh and go, well... And I immediately muted it. I was like, I can't have you rain on my parade right now. I couldn't have been more excited about that speech.
Well, and also, like, they've got Scott Jennings on there now. Like, they are really just, like, really leaning into the opinion of it all and have really objectionable people on there. And so did MSNBC. Like, I'm not trying to listen to, like, freaking Michael Steele. And, of course they called in Claire McCaskill at a certain point.
They can't help
I hate all of those people, too. But it's, like, it felt less, like... specifically rotten.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
But
they were out interviewing people in line for Prop 50.
Wild.
And
to wait in line for a one-question ballot.
And people were super jazzed.
Yes.
Like, everybody who had gone to the poll was just sort of like...
We're doing stuff.
We're doing stuff today. And Nicole Wallace, who, I don't love being thought crimed by, if we're being honest... was talking specifically about that. She was like, these people are excited to be voting for an idea. And we had said that in the podcast that we had recorded, I think, the day before.
Yeah.
Like, that's why we were so, like, it wasn't even that we loved the idea necessarily.
No, I was trying to explain that to somebody yesterday, where I was like, because they hadn't voted for it, and they were like, why did you vote for it? And I was like, to be honest, in a situation like this, I want to endorse trying ideas.
Yes.
That's all I care about. Was this a good idea? No, that doesn't matter. That currently, there are no good ideas. There's no laws. Everything's a mess. Everything's silly.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to go out of our way to find the perfect idea. I want to get the ball rolling on ideas.
Sure.
I'm just trying to get ideas started.
Yeah.
And then maybe this will snowball into good ideas. We don't know. Or it could snowball nowhere, but at least we tried something. At least we had an idea. Yeah. That's all. My bar is so low at the moment that's all I'm asking of Democrats is to have an idea. And they did, and so I wanted to be supportive.
Yeah. Exactly. Blowouts in Virginia and New Jersey.
Yes.
In a way that, like, was notable. Like, majorly outperforming at the top of the ticket in both of those states what Kamala Harris had in 2024. Which, like,
bleak.
Is bleak. Yeah. I mean, imagine being outperformed by Abigail Spanberger or Mickey Sherrill. Hey, bleak. But I think a lot of people are sort of like, well, this is a good sign for 2026. And I think that it is. Obviously, a lot will happen between now and then. But, like, I do think that, like, there were probably, like, Republican warning signs with some of those elections. Good God. Virginia, the AG candidate won, and he had been completely written off and denounced by all of the other people who were running statewide because he had suggested in 2022 when he was a state legislature that the then House Speaker Todd Gilbert should be shot.
That's right.
And even that his children should die.
Even then.
Because he was breeding little fascists. That's right. A quote from these text messages. He won.
People didn't have much of an option there because the option was a Republican and they couldn't take it.
Wild.
Everything is so unpleasant and uncertain right now that I feel like people are just sort of like reactive and ready for a fight.
Well, and also, like, listen, do I think that, like, we should be saying things like that to people? Obviously not.
No.
Like, but I also understand that we live in 2025, and what I'm not going to do is have Republicans tell me that we shouldn't be saying things like that
while they're busy actually shooting everyone's little children.
So I'm not. Yeah. I would have happily voted for him.
Yeah.
In that election.
I feel like the sort of double standard of not talking about violence from a party that likes to commit it is like not of interest to me at the moment.
Correct.
Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about the shutdown. It's over.
Yeah, Democrats were like, we've got momentum.
Right.
So our next plan
is to
squander
totally
all of it. Shit the bed. Literal days later.
A not unexpected turn of events. After all of the takeaways, every pundit, every random person was like, they're going to hold strong because they saw that the people were with them and they're going to get in there or whatever.
The entire reason that Abigail Spanberger won at the margin that she did is because there are so many government employees in Virginia.
Right. Who were like, where's my paycheck?
Correct.
Yeah. And then, so, naturally, the Senate got together and they were like, what could we do to negotiate this in such a way that we gain nothing, but we lose that momentum?
Currently, Republicans are being blamed for this. What could we do to put the blame on ourselves?
Exactly. And they, they got together and they figured it out.
They figured it out. People think they can't do big things.
That's right. They found 8 senators who could take the bullet for voting for what they knew was an unpopular position, which was reopening the government.
Yeah, and we need to talk about that.
We sure do.
Because what you just said was that they found 8 senators.
Yeah.
And
among a group...
People on the left like to talk about this rotating villain theory a lot.
Yeah.
And when you try and explain it, it sort of sounds a little conspiratorial. And the theory is basically that, like, Democrats don't really want to do big things. They don't want to do some of these, like, the $15 minimum wage.
I like that we're calling that a theory. It's like a proven fact.
It's a proven fact. I would agree. And so in their attempt to not have the entire party blamed for not wanting to do some of these things, they have, for 2 years, we got to blame Manchin and Sinema.
Right.
But I remember having conversations on this very podcast about if you think those two are bad, wait till I tell you about John Tester.
That's right.
And my point was, if one of Manchin or Sinema decided that they were going to vote for something, there would be a third person they could swoop in to not vote for it and to shoot it down.
The Senate Democratic Party operates specifically to preserve a status quo and
correct.
No other. That's why when Kamala Harris said she had the most progressive voting record in the Senate,
well, you didn't vote on anything.
It was a meaningless claim.
Completely meaningless.
A progressive record in the Senate is a nonsense.
It's not real.
Yeah, thing to say. It's not a stat of any sort. Yeah.
And Tim Kaine, who was one of the people who voted to reopen the government, said something that I am curious as to whether he was supposed to say or not. Because he was asked, well, and Chuck Schumer caused this. I actually think, in thinking about it, Chuck Schumer should have voted yes to open the government. And let me tell you why.
Because he'd already destroyed his career.
Well, because he opened these other senators up to this line of questioning.
Yeah.
Because what happened was now these 8 people who voted to reopen the government are all getting asked, Well, did leadership know? How many other people wanted to open the government? And I don't think Democrats really want people to know that. Because when asked about that, Tim Kaine said, this is a quote, "I can tell you this, there were a lot more than 8 that were really happy that the 8 of us voted the way that we did."
Yeah. And it is no coincidence that these 8 senators are either retiring or not up for re-election in the next few years.
Yeah, let's go through them.
Yeah.
It's Angus King,
right,
not up until 2030. Dick Durbin.
By the way, he'll be 86 in 2030. 86, just another important note.
Right. Dick Durbin, not running for re-election.
Right.
He's retiring. Gene Shaheen, not running for re-election, retiring. Maggie Hassan, up in 2028. Tim Kaine, up in 2030. John Fetterman, who was voting yes the entire time, but he's not up until 2028. And then both of the Nevada senators.
I know, what poor Nevada? Like,
Catherine Cortez Masto up in 2028 and Jackie Rosen up in 2030. So they literally went through the 44 or 45 of them. I can't even remember how there are because who fucking cares?
Right.
Really.
There's none of them, so it doesn't matter.
None of them. And they found the ones who would who would take no harm electorally from this and had them take the fall for literally the entire rest of the Senate delegation.
Right.
Or caucus or whatever they're called. For all of them. All of the Democrats in the Senate.
Yeah.
So, like, this is, again, why I go back constantly, and again, I don't have a solution for it, but, like, this version of the Democratic Party that exists in the year 2025 needs to be burned to the ground.
Truly.
And completely
Well, because we
over.
should also note, they got nothing in exchange.
Nothing.
So your health insurance premiums, they are going up next year.
Yep.
There is not any additional funding for any of the things that Donald Trump has not been spending money on. Anyway, it doesn't matter what they vote on because he doesn't actually spend the money or distribute the money once they vote on it. But I mean, like, they negotiated from a point of strength. They had the sort of will of the people behind them and therefore the power of the next election cycle behind them. And instead of negotiating, they got nothing. And they were just like, well, they said they'll talk about it later with us, as if they've ever told the truth about that kind of thing.
And they gave up the ability to blame it on the Republicans because as soon as they voted to reopen the government, all the Republicans were just sort of like, see, this was the Democratic shutdown.
Exactly.
We were just waiting for the Democrats to vote with us to reopen the government. And that is proven out by a poll that NBC did post-shutdown. I think it was done like on the 13th or 14th, so like fairly recently. And the question was, who got more of what they wanted in the shutdown? And the response was 55% Republicans, 25% both Democrats and Republicans equally.
Really just owing to the fact that they're the same party.
Right, exactly. 24% neither, 6% Democrats.
This was once again a shutdown that could only be ended by Democrats voting to end the shutdown. Right. And they got people, only 6% of people think that they got what they wanted. And I would ask those 6% of people what news they were watching.
What they think the Democrats did get.
Right. Or wanted.
or wanted, I suppose.
Because I feel like there is a little bit of like with the 25% of both Democrats and Republicans equally, I'm like, well, in the sense that neither of them want anything, then I guess everyone got what they wanted because I would say Democrats as a party didn't get what they wanted. Did the Democrats in the Senate not get what they wanted?
Fair.
You got to distinguish between the two in this circumstance, I think.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Rand Paul didn't want to end the shutdown. He voted with the Democrats to keep it shut.
What was that? I wasn't following his.
Whoever knows what Rand Paul's journey is on any. Here's what I like about him. Don't take that the wrong way. I hate him, but I do feel like in the Senate it is rare to have somebody who is kind of an unreliable actor in this way, who just sort of floats along doing whatever he wants.
Yeah.
And especially on the Republican side, I feel like I appreciate that Rand Paul just sometimes does something wacky. And you're like, what's his game? Nobody knows.
Right.
Getting into a fist fight with his neighbor? Maybe.
Right.
Like,
hasn't Trump been calling Thomas Massey little Rand Paul?
Yes.
Or something like that?
Yeah, there's just
because they both vote no on all of Trump.
Right. They're just like
no
contrarians, I guess. I don't know. Like they're libertarian contrarians, but who knows what his journey was? I wasn't paying any attention to it. I have a feeling
it probably had something to do with the budget because with him, it always does.
Oh, and I'm sure I don't agree with the reason that he was doing it.
No.
I'm not suggesting I do. I like that he injects a small shot of unpredictability into what is one of the most boring chambers of government.
Yeah.
And also one of the most sort of status quo enforcing chambers of government. Because I feel like, he's one of the people that voted against the Zadroga Act. I don't appreciate that about him, but it certainly was it added a little pizzazz to what was otherwise
Probably didn't have
universal
the appropriate
vote. offset or tax
to go with it or pay for it.
Yeah, didn't have the right pay for. You're not supposed to spend money on anything. You should. I don't know. Who knows what he was up to?
Yeah.
It was, he's an asshole.
Yeah.
But in any case, he managed to hold the line while Tim Kaine couldn't. So whatever.
Yep. Well, he knew they would cave.
That's true. He's been there a long time. Let's talk about our one final idea, which I stole from someone else.
Yeah.
I heard it. I got to remember where.
From you now.
And
it's ours now.
It's ours now. The idea of making it a law that a state's collective age in the Senate cannot exceed 100 years.
Yeah.
Therefore, first of all, everyone ages out at 65. And it's like time to retire when it's 65. Mm-hmm. And, if you have two 50-year-old senators, great work. You've done it. A 160 and 140-year-old.
Yeah, I like that
idea. A beautiful
idea.
Journey for both of them.
You truly have a senior and a...
That's right.
A junior.
65, 35, someone didn't retire and you're getting desperate. That's fine. But, that keeps it within a range that is both working age and life experience age. Uh-huh. And keeps it out of a range where you have checked out of any real concerns or life, which is currently the range that every member of the U.S. Senate is in.
Work anymore.
Right. A constant problem in the Senate. First of all, a problem in the House, too, because people keep dropping dead in the House.
God,
and I don't even want to know how many of their brains don't work, given the rate that they're dying in there. The whole government's too old. But in the Senate in particular, and this is said all the time, and when you go and watch a Senate vote, it is like truly shocking how doddery some of these people are. Like that, I think, is always the most shocking part of being actually witness to a Senate vote in person.
Your brain knows disparately that there's old people there.
But they are wearing makeup on television. You do not know how old they look in real life. And they...
Sure. Well, they're all there.
Yes, they're all there.
You know what I mean? You're witness to, like, the mass of them.
Exactly. And you're witness to their weird behaviors. Like, Dianne Feinstein... I was watching the 2019 Zadroga Act vote, and she spent the whole time nervously holding her purse, like someone might steal her purse on the floor of the Senate.
Oh, somebody might.
And I was like, first of all, it was weird that she was so tall. I thought she was short. So that was a weird thing that I learned. She was hunched over, but in a way that tall people get hunched over. But second of all, I was like, this is a weird old lady who doesn't know where she is. You can see that from her demeanor here. Like, it feels like someone needs to, like, guide her gently out of the room.
Yeah.
And, like, that, or, like, Harry Reid.
She was gearing up for re-election at that point.
That's exactly. Harry Reid, the last time I saw Harry Reid, which was not the last time he was in office, I'll tell you that, the man grabbed my arm. He went to go look like he was going to shake my hand and instead grabbed my arm to hold onto it to get to a podium. He couldn't walk. Like, people are not, and at the time, I would never have guessed he was that doddering. Like, I knew he was old,
right.
But, like, I come from a sprightly old person.
Yeah, he's an old boxer. He's, like old but still he's old and virile.
You've met my family. They're sprightly old people, Yeah. Like, I come from a sprightly old background. So, like, my experience with old people is not that they get doddering on that level.
Yeah.
And you go to the Senate, and you're like, my cousin saw, what's his face?
An old guy, one of the olds.
At the airport, in a wheelchair, was like...
McConnell?
McConnell.
Yeah.
Why did I forget Mitch McConnell's name? I'm hoping to permanently forget it. She saw Mitch McConnell at the airport, like maybe last year or something like that, and she was like, wow, he was old. He was real old. And he was in a wheelchair, and he couldn't walk by himself, and he didn't look sentient.
Ooh,
and yet here we are.
Ooh, speaking of forgetting people's names, I'm skipping back.
Love it.
An entire topic.
I'm glad that you found a way to segue from my forgetting Mitch McConnell's name.
I think we're technically done.
We are,
with our notes. So I could have just...
We're freewheeling now.
I could have just let you end this podcast. That was one of the parts that I loved about Mamdani's speech, where he was like, let this be the last time that we ever have to speak about Andrew Cuomo. I was like, that is the level of savagery that I am looking for here right now. He was like, this is it. We've done it.
That's right.
We've Andrew Cuomo'd ourselves to the end of, like, that's it. We're done.
We're done. Now we
don't have to be doing Andrew Cuomo anymore.
Let's never talk about him again, truly. And it was a shame that we had to talk about him again after the last time.
That was a pretty pointed, like,
home.
Usually you get some sort of, like, I'd like to thank my opponent for the race that they run.
He was just like, get the fuck out of here and go back to Long Island or wherever you're living or Scarsdale, where you came from. Leave my city immediately.
Yeah. What a dream.
What a dream. In any case, listen, have fun out there, guys. There's going to be some great news coming up.
Yeah.
It's going to be disturbing, but in the fun way.
Yeah.
It's not your responsibility to fix it.
Right.
It's not your responsibility to tell the truth.
No, Elon Musk's internet is often a dark place.
That's right.
It's not right now.
It's not right now. And let that bring you a small amount of joy as you head into your Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.